Hi all, this is Jan from the Jan Files. I hope you will subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate that. It would mean a lot, actually. So we're going to talk about Epstein files, and I want to talk about a few updates that I've discovered and that obviously other people are reporting. But the first one, I think, that is huge is the fact that they're investigating Epstein and other people around the world. Was an international operation. It is an international scandal, and they take it seriously. Clearly, the United States doesn't, but they do. And so that is freaking Trump out. Okay? He does not want them to be doing that. Now, I've read somewhere that he's calling these people. I don't know if that's true. I wouldn't be surprised. But the point is, it's such a good and powerful thing to have a whole other bodies of justice looking at this, since we have to go through this bullshit, going like this with our DOJ, who doesn't want to follow the law, doesn't care about following the law, and has no regard for the law. And so that, to me, though, is a big deal. And I think it should give us hope. The other thing that I think is a big deal is that there is now, in New Mexico, the state legislatures, a woman has proposed, and it's, I think, being formed, an investigative body to investigate what happened in New Mexico. Because Jeffrey Epstein had a huge estate there. If you go online, you can see that wow, it was huge. And it sat on 12 square miles of land. There was nobody around him. And there was a helicopter pad. Now, there are many stories about some of the horrors that happened there. Some of them you will find in the Epstein files. But the fact is that this body is now coming forth and saying, okay, bipartisan, by the way, to say, we want to know what happened here. And we're going to start calling people in and asking the questions. I think that's pivotal. I think that's really important because it's away from Washington. They may try to squash it, but I don't believe for a second it's going to work. So those are two things I think is really important. Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony is, was a nothing burger. And nobody should be surprised. I think it was performative that she was brought in because no one thought that she would be surprised, that she was going to say anything. She wants, and she's been clear, she wants her sentence commuted, she wants to get out, and then she will do and say whatever Trump wants her to. Which basically she said already in the interview with Todd Blanche, which was full of documented lies. And Todd Blanche, another Bundy, somebody ought to call his ass in also to testify. But anyway, so that those things, are updates. And let me see, and finally, folks, here's the number for Lutnick's office, who is the Secretary of Commerce, who completely and utterly lied when he said that his wife and he went into Jeffrey's mansion, saw the massage table in the middle of the room and never went back again. Complete and utter lie. He's all over the Epstein files. He should resign, and we should impeach. He should be impeached. And whatever it happens, we should still keep up the pressure. So I called today. Sounded like an idiot because I didn't write down what I wanted to say. That's not good anyway. But anyway, I got out the fact that he's a liar and he should resign. But here's the number, 202-482-2721. Okay, so call. And that's going to lead me into my next thing, because this weekend, one of the reasons I've been delayed, so to speak, past couple days, is that I organized a small protest in my very, very, very red town. And we stood outside of the town hall, freezing our asses off. It was literally -4. And the purpose of the protest was to stand with Minneapolis and ice out. Now, it wasn't a big protest. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to grow this group so that we can make a stand in this very, very red town. And one of the women there said, this is so inspiring. And I said, yeah. And she was, the people going by and beeping their horns and waving at us and putting fists up and, whatever. It is inspiring. Participating is inspiring. And I also want to say that our four founders, our founding fathers, understood the importance of our right to free speech and our right to gather, to protest. It is the First Amendment. They understood that these are the keys to preventing tyranny. That when we stand up as we the people, we are powerful. Forget everything else. We have the power. If we exercise it, if we don't exercise it and do nothing and wait for somebody else to do it, we're going to get more of what we got. So once again, I won't belabor this, but go to a protest. If you can do these things, obviously, do something. Even if it's call one person, one senator, one representative every single day. Whenever you react and you put energy in like that into the world, there's an opposite reaction, right? So we can, with our own energy and inspiration, change. And I'm going to keep saying this because I think it's so important. Engage whatever way you can. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the Super Bowl. And not Bad Bunny, who was magnificent, and actually I only turned it on for the halftime, is the fact that there was, first of all, there's also a very powerful public announcement from Epstein's victims. Incredibly powerful. You can find it online. If you didn't see it, you should watch it. And finally, there was another commercial with Mike Tyson in it. And it was for MAHA. Make American Health Again. I don't know what the hell that stands for, but it's, Robert Kennedy. And while I don't disagree with the notion that our food is probably poisoning us at this point, I have a real problem with who was in front of the camera and who was behind the camera. Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist. I don't want to hear shit like, oh, she did it for the money. No, she did not. And she was believed by a jury, and they put Mike Tyson behind bars. And she was a black woman, so let's be clear about that. He was put behind bars. He is a convicted rapist. Now, you know who directed the commercial? Oh, wait. Yeah. Brett Ratner. You know that name? Ratner? He is the guy who directed, he's in the Epstein files, Melania. He directed Melania. He just directed a convicted rapist in a commercial for Kennedy. So this country has a real problem with rape. And by that I mean it's not looked at as horrifically and as with the understanding of the trauma that occurs when a person is raped. And especially, primarily, men get raped too, folks. But the point is that there is this idea, one, that women, deserve it because of the way they dress, which still exists. It's still a powerful force within a lot of these judges' heads and rapists' heads. These judges are literally allowing young boys off who have absolutely raped young girls. One recently, I don't remember the damn state. He almost killed her. He strangled her. He was let off on community service. There's a whole idea that this trauma that is inflicted on women, and it's the same idea behind the whole Epstein thing, is that women deserve it, right? They'll get over it. That's what they're made for. And that it's not my fault because she asked for it. And so, in the middle of the Super Bowl is this. A convicted rapist staring back at me. I bet a lot of people have forgotten that because his image has been rehabilitated by the media, by Hollywood, by Broadway. And he's a rapist, folks. He didn't ever say, oh my God, I was a monster and I recognize I was a monster and I'm sorry. Nothing. There's been nothing like that. And so here, once again, on our television, we're looking at a rapist made whole. And that's why we are where we are with the Epstein files. Because it's just not been important enough to people. Just not important enough to people that these young girls were terrorized and tortured. So I'm going to keep singing that song. I hope you will join me in really paying attention and making sure that those around you are also paying attention. It's really important. And there's two guys I want to recommend you listen to if you're not already. Aaron Parnas and Dean Withers. Fascinating. Aaron Parnas is more like a news person. Dean Withers talks to MAGA. And it's fascinating to listen to. First of all, how stupid some of these people are. I mean, and they can't actually literally comprehend some of what he's saying. He's a really smart guy. I'm talking about Dean Withers. So anyway, I would look at those things. It'll give you an understanding of, whoa, how off many of these people are. And there was something else I was going to say, and like everything else, it goes out the window. What also starts today is the fact that the congressmen, I don't know, I'm assuming it's senators, I don't know, but the House of Representatives for sure can go and see the Epstein files unredacted. But how do they do that? They have to give them 24 hours notice. They can't bring in a phone or anything to record their thoughts or what they're seeing. They can't do any of that. They literally have to go in with a pencil or a pen and a pad of paper. Now, there are 3 million documents. How long do you think that'll take, folks? This is a joke. The whole thing is a joke. And the witnesses they are calling aren't meant to give them any fucking information, because they're not calling the people who could give them information, which is mind-boggling to me. Like I've said before, Epstein's assistants, who are still alive and still around, why aren't they being called? 3 of them were also co-defendants with Jeffrey Epstein in the document that has 60 counts that was never filed. There were 3 other co-defendants, and they were his assistants. It refers to them as working for him. So anyway, it's the state of things. Keep going. Just keep going. Keep being inspired. Things are cracking. The walls are cracking. Not fast enough, but they're cracking. And don't get distracted. We can't forget about Minneapolis. We can multitask. We can't forget about the horrors of ICE and the concentration camps. We cannot forget about any of those. And so, I don't know, folks, do you? Okay? Stand up. Get fired up. Get angry. And do something to make a difference. Take care. Bye for now.